Hi, and welcome to Purple Collar Life. I'm Chad, and in today's video we're going to be talking about this brand new 2025 Toyota Prius. That's right, this Prius is so new that it still has a little bit of plastic stuck underneath the hood here. Now, I had the opportunity to drive this Toyota Prius 2025 for about a week. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about my impressions after driving the Prius for a week. I'll start out by saying I was pretty surprised. This isn't your grandma's Prius anymore. The 2025 Prius is sleek, fast, yes, that's right, fast, and surprisingly fun to drive. It reminds me a little bit of the minimalist kind of style of a Tesla, but still the reliability and quality of a Toyota. Now I want to start out right here at the start of the video and say, leave a comment down below on what you think of the new design of the Prius. To me, it's a huge leap forward in design. The old Prius was functional, and it looked like a car that would get you good gas mileage. This Prius gets you great gas mileage, but I think it looks a lot sportier, a lot more trendy, and certainly more attractive than the old Prius. Don't forget to take a second to hit that like button and subscribe. We don't always do car reviews. Most of the time our channel is about rural living and firewood and chainsaws and tractors, but I have always had an interest in different vehicles. So from time to time there are videos on our channel about vehicles. In today's review, we're breaking down what makes this new Prius more than just a fuel sipper, and you'll be shocked by the mileage I got, and we'll be talking about whether this deserves a spot in your driveway. Now, just last year, Toyota gave the Prius a pretty serious makeover, and the 2025 model keeps that bold, futuristic design. Look at these sharp LED headlights. The coupe-like silhouette, it's 2 inches lower and about an inch wider than the older generations, which gives it a much sportier stance. I was never a fan of how the Prius looked until this design. I've always liked the look of our 2014 Chevy Volt, which we've had now for 12 years, and it is doing amazing with over 180,000 miles. And this Prius does a much better job of looking more sporty, kind of similar to what our Chevy Volt looked like in 2014. Aerodynamics are still a priority with the Prius. After all, it's trying to get good fuel mileage, but this time it actually looks pretty cool while doing it. Inside, the 2025 Prius has a clean layout. You get soft touch materials up front, a nice wide 12-inch infotainment system, or an 8-inch on the base models. Toyota's new software is really responsive and includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I use the wireless Apple CarPlay all the time during the week here, and it's worked great. I do my navigation through Waze, and it also accepted and sent phone calls really easily in the Prius. The seats are supportive with heated and ventilated options, though this particular one didn't have that. There's more legroom than you'd expect for a compact hybrid Prius. And the rear headroom's a bit tight, but thankfully at 5'8", I didn't have any issues. It's manageable, I would say, unless you're like 6 feet or taller. So Adam from Hometown Acres, probably not the right car for you. Now driving. Here's where things get interesting. Under the hood is a 2-liter hybrid system paired with electric motors, giving about 200 horsepower. It's 196 to be exact, in front-wheel drive. Or if you opted for the all-wheel drive plug-in Prius Prime, you'd get 220 horsepower, and that would result in a 0 to 60 time just over 7 seconds. Now imagine the old Prius at almost 10 seconds with a 0 to 60 time. This new Prius feels pretty sporty. The steering feels surprisingly good. The suspension seems like a normal car, and the low center of gravity with that battery weight keeps it planted and you feel pretty secure in corners. Sure, it's not really a sports car, but for a hybrid, it's pretty good. Ride comfort's also solid. It's pretty quiet on the highway, and the regen braking is smooth, not grabby like in some other hybrids. And I've noticed that these tires, While they look a little strange, I'm not familiar with this tread pattern, they did a nice job holding the road, and I drove through a mix of nice weather and rain. Now, typically rental cars don't have the most features available, but this Toyota Prius did include some safety sense features like adaptive cruise, lane tracing, lane assist, pedestrian detection, 360-degree camera for when parking, which was awesome. The digital rear view mirror is also nice. This particular Prius didn't have one, but there is an available heads-up display for the people who opt for the higher trim levels. All right, so thinking about the pricing. The pricing starts around $28,000 for the base LE and climbs to about $36,000 for a fully loaded Limited. The Prius Prime plug-in starts higher, but does qualify for the federal tax credits. Fuel economy is still one of the best traits. Now they say up to 57 miles per gallon combined on some trims. That's real world savings, especially with gas prices moving all over the place. Here in Pennsylvania, we have pretty high tax on gas, so our price is usually higher than some other areas. Now I found in driving the Prius that I was able to get over that estimated 57 miles per gallon, and I averaged in the 60 to 62 mile per gallon range in my daily commute. But like I said, I only had it for a week, and I was driving it pretty conservatively. Even though it felt like a sports car, I was driving it through towns, and obviously hybrids do the best when they're in that stop and go and through town driving. I had some interstate driving, but only for maybe 10 miles at a time. Compared to some of the Prius rivals, like the Hyundai Elantra Hybrid or the Kia Niro, the Prius now stands out not just for efficiency, but also for the design and drivability. It's got a much improved look. Now, I only had this Prius for a week, and it was a rental, but I was really impressed with the Prius. The fuel economy was great, the ride was comfortable, it seemed like it was sporty, it's got a lot of cool technology even in the base models. So should you buy the 2025 Prius? If you want a hybrid that doesn't feel like a compromise, this is it. It's stylish, quick, efficient, and packed with features. It's no longer just a smart choice, it's an exciting one too. And the price point is really good. Let me know in those comments, would you take this over a traditional gas car or even a full EV? One of the things I wanted to talk about is how nice this Prius looks, especially from the front. I think it's a really sharp, sporty looking front end. Does not look like a Prius from the front, for sure. The headlights require you to turn them on inside the car. There is no, at least in this car, automatic headlight on feature. So you can set it to daytime running lights, or you can turn the headlights on, but then you have to turn them back off on the knob. These wheel covers are just a plastic cover over top of the wheel. You can see it's got these cool LED accent lights. Very good headlights. Here in the back seat there are 2 USB power points for battery charging your cell phones. We do have some reading lights. For me at 5'8", we've got plenty of headspace here. You can see there is still plenty of room for me. Little spots in the door here that maybe you can put a water bottle in at an angle. Yeah, so these back doors, put a water bottle in just like that. Take a look here at the hatch. It does have this protective piece which you can disconnect, folds in half to make storage much easier. Trunk space isn't horrible. I would say probably a little bit smaller than the space in our Chevy Volt, just looking off the top of my head here. It does have a nice light here. This piece that folds up is very thin, kind of flimsy, almost like cardboard with a little bit of felt on top. So I would recommend getting some type of like a weather tech or some type of other mat back here. button to release the fuel door, which I have not even had to open until right now for the video. On my 5 days of having this, I've been averaging over 50 miles to the gallon, as high as 66 miles to the gallon in this 2025 Toyota Prius. This is a hybrid. So right now you're looking at my eye perspective out across the front end of the Prius. You can see the steering wheel's right here and the front gauge cluster is right there. So when that turns on, you can see those gauges are pretty nice, but the steering wheel has to be pretty low in order for your eyes to see that gauge cluster, because if you adjust your steering wheel up any higher, then you have blocked visibility of some of those gauges. The steering wheel actually can go down that low or up that high. So I have to run it a little bit lower than what I would typically in a car so that I can see the gauges. The steering wheel itself has a nice selection of controls here. This goes through the menu. You've got your phone controls, left, right, up, down, and OK to scroll through the menu items. Speak button. This has your adaptive cruise and lane control, where it's actually keeping the car in between the two lines, and it's a really great system. Your cruise controls are here, distance between you and the vehicle in front of you, speed up and down, which type of cruise control, if you want adaptive or standard cruise control. These are for the radio, mode buttons, and then select left and right. Here are our dimmer for the front gauge cluster and the odometer and trip reset. On the stock beside that's our headlights, and you can see there is no auto. There's off, daytime running lights, and headlights. And then this is also your turn signal. But there is no auto on that stock to just have automatic headlights. Down here, there's automatic high beams, so that's a nice feature. And then this actually is a defroster for your windshield wipers. You can see the windshield wipers are down there kind of buried, and you can see how in a climate like ours in Northwest Pennsylvania, those could get frozen up. So that button helps to thaw the windshield wipers off to use them here in the Prius. I do like that you've got your dash gauge cluster and still your screen over here. So there's a lot of good information here on the screen. You do have radio control, phone, here's some car information. Here's some car information. You can see climate controls, trip information. There you can see my latest trip was 50.8. The energy flow screen lets you see if the power is coming from the battery or the engine, and then when it regenerates, you can see the power coming back through to the battery. There are no vehicle alerts. In the settings, you've got all these things you can scroll through and change. And then of course it does have Apple CarPlay. Here's your HVAC, front defrost, rear defrost, fan off. You can use the auto, up and down temperature, fan speed up and down, where it goes, towards your face and your feet, or just your feet, defrost in your feet, just out these vents. Recirculate, outside air coming in, air conditioning on or off. Here's your hazard lights, power button. On the right stock, here's where you've got your wiper. So you push up for a mist, and then click it down. The further you click it, the faster your wipers go. And there is intermittent settings right here. And that's all on this stock. Pull back to spray and clean your windows. Those are massive wipers. A couple charge points here. They're both USB-C, so I have to use an adapter. You also have a 12-volt output here. Little storage tray. Underneath it, your hidden storage. It even is labeled as hidden compartment. Cup holders. Shift control. If you're not familiar with the Toyota hybrid shift control, this is just the knob that you use to go, over and up is reverse. See, it does have a backup camera. Shows us we're in reverse. Over is neutral. Over and down is drive. Straight back is B, and if you're not sure what B is, you can see it here up on the dash. B is for more regenerative braking, so if you're going down a solid descent, like going down a hill and you want to regen as much as possible, that's what the B is for. It's kind of like low range in our Chevy Volt. You do have drive mode selection, so pressing this up and down, you can change between normal, eco, sport, and custom. And it does also show you that here in the center stack what drive mode you're changing into. We'll leave it in eco. Also down here you've got your brake hold, your EV mode, which can be used for slower speeds, although I have seen this Toyota Prius operate in EV mode even at 50 some miles an hour. Parking brake and traction control turned off. There's another little storage space over here. Works great for your cell phone. Armrest has some more power connections in it, and then storage. And for park, you push that button. Here's a look at those LEDs. Turn signals flashing. Over here you've got your mirror controls, lock and unlock. So you do this for left-hand mirror, this way for right, and then this adjusts the mirrors. Window, single touch down, single touch up. Both driver and passenger, single touch. Even single touch rear up and down. That's pretty nice. And then you can turn your rear window control so that they can't control them in the back seats. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative and entertaining, please give us a thumbs up, leave those comments down below, and hopefully we'll see you again the next time.